Alright, so I am in OpenMPT right now, and I made a video discussing steppers and massive. It was a pretty stupid video. It was really just made for my friend, but I had referenced OpenMPT and this instrument here, 8-bit Midnight Children. Now, in the steppers video, I show a patch called Midnight Children in massive, which is the original patch that I'm referring to here. But I recreated that in OpenMPT from just a basic square wave, and I made the square wave in Audacity. But just a brief overview of how these envelopes work. So these envelopes can be assigned to volume, pan, and either pitch or filter, but not both at the same time. Now, with the pitch filter, with the pitch envelope here, you can adjust the pitch by semitones, and I believe it's 50 semitones. It's half a note, essentially. Every one tick on here, so if I move this up one tick, that's half a note, whole, half, whole, half, and so on. And so instead of going up 7 and up 12, I have to go up 14, up 24 respectively. So this is 1 octave higher. So I will play D sharp on octave 3, and it'll be up on octave. So I'll play D sharp 3, and this will play at D sharp 4. Oop, my bad. Look at me. So pro. Okay. D sharp 4. Interesting. Okay. So, yes, so this works. Oops, way too high. Now, to understand and fully appreciate how much this actually works, it doesn't look like much now, and it actually might seem like it's out of sync, but trust me, it is. It's actually out of sync with this moved over 1. I don't know why, but it just works better when it's 1 tick over, when the end is moved over 1 tick from the measure. Now, to hear that actually in action, sounds like this. And that actually took a while to finally perfect, because like I said, this had to be, I figured out that had to be moved over 1 tick. This here has to be moved over 1 tick. And also, these here, you can see that I moved them so that they start at the beat. So where the beat is when it hits the full note here. So, and also I can't move these any closer. I can't make it so it looks exactly like a stepper. Otherwise I would. Because it's supposed to move up dramatically, you know. again, but you just simply can't do that. It always gradually goes up. So that's as tight as I can get it, and you really don't notice it. But it works. It definitely works. Now, some other things that I changed in this song is that I edited some other instruments in here. So let's go, yes, let's go to this one here. Now, I don't know if you heard or not, but I actually edited 2 different instruments here. So this song, this instrument here is instrument number 2, which is called saw lead. This is just the basic saw lead that I use to reference everything else, but I just edited it because I didn't think that I was going to need any more instruments. And this instrument sounds like this. So here are the elements of this instrument here. So if I take away the pitch, and this envelope is looped. So it's looped so it gets that wobbly sound, even though it's just volume changing. Now with this one, this is the pitch, and the pitch itself without the volume sounds like this. Now, here is it without looping it. This is up 14, which is up 7 notes, which is just like Midnight Children. So it goes very quickly from 7 to, from positive 7 to 0 as far as pitch change goes, very quickly. And it loops that over and over so you get that back and forth LFO effect. And the volume also just adds a little bit more of that effect. It makes that pitch change a little more noticeable. And a bit slower too. So that is used in this part here. So I'm gonna solo this. And I use that throughout the rest of the song. The rest of the song plays as normal. And then I'm going to move on to the next part that I changed, which is this down here. So I don't know if you've noticed, but the rest of this, as far as the drum part goes, it's very repetitive. So let's show that here. So it's apparent that, and yeah, so this is apparent that it's very repetitive, especially with the cymbals and the snare. But the thing is, at the very end, and I'm going to apply this to the rest of the song. This is just where I started it, because I felt like if you have these cymbals deteriorate a little bit, you lose some cymbals on some ticks. And I'm going to play that right here. You'll be able to hear the difference in the cymbals. Now the bass hasn't changed, and I'll get to the bass in a moment. And there we go, you can hear the change, and there's a lot less of the cymbals. They're actually a little more structured and not as repetitive and in your face. So I'm going to apply that to the rest of the song at some point. But then we go on to the bass drum section, which I have also edited. So I have changed the bass drum to a triangle wave. Before, I think I had it as noise. I think I had all of my percussion instruments as noise, and I realized that triangle was a better fit for the bass drum because I was having trouble with the noise sounding a little tacky. It didn't work right as a bass line. It works as a snare, and it definitely works as cymbals, but not bass. So I change it to triangle wave, and I play it at a didn't mean to do that. I play it at a extremely low note. So either D sharp 1 or D sharp 2. Yeah, they're all D sharp 2. And the way that this one is set up is I have the volume set all the way to the top, go all the way to the bottom. So you get this kind of effect. And then you have, actually, I just ignored this because I couldn't stand that. Let me just show you. It sounds like someone is squishing a squeaky toy. It's not bass drummy. So I just screw it. Take out the pitch envelope. Don't need it. And that works fine. In the background, I also have the compressor on here, so it's a lot louder. And I will show you what that sounds like by itself. And here's what the entire thing sounds like with the bass. As you can see, it's actually kind of hard to hear, so I gotta adjust the compressor here. Bring that up a bit. Bring the volume up a bit. Let's actually try that again. what I actually got to do is I have to convert this to an MPT file. Then I'll have access to all of these settings here. You see how some of these are grayed out. It's because this is an IT file or an impulse tracker file. So some of these I don't have access to. So I'm going to convert this into an MPT file, and I'll be able to change this mode to low pass. I'll be able to push the low pass through a little bit more, so you'll get that more low end for the instrument itself without trying to change the cutoff, because I could just change the cutoff to something really low. Obviously, I still have some things to work out. There's a lot of that low end that is missing when the bass drum is not playing. When the bass drum does play, then it fills that low end. So it feels too high, it feels like everything is too high, so I'm going to have to adjust the bass here in channel 5 to be maybe a bit lower and a bit punchier. So maybe I'll bring the octave down and then put in the cutoff, so it'll force that low pass through. Cut off that high end and let the lower frequencies in, and then it'll be able to fill up that bottom space, because there's too much of the top space when the bass drum is not playing. So in areas like this, it just sounds very dull. You hear that? Despite this, despite these playing. We'll actually see what happens. So it's at number 11. So if I bring in the cutoff here, let's try that. Again, it's really hard to hear, so I gotta add the compressor to make it louder. Then that sounds weird, so this is the predicament that I'm having here. So perhaps I could improve on this a little bit more. But that's just a basic overview of what I've done in here as far as Midnight Children goes and the other stuff that I've edited in OpenMPT. And I really like this program. I think it's really good for making 8-bit music or even any kind of music because the trackers are very intuitive and very easy to use. Since each of these patterns can be used as loops, or you can just copy and paste hundreds of things, so just keep looping stuff. Most of the stuff you do in here is copy and paste. Just copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. And if you have a keyboard, you can actually hook up your keyboard to MIDI. Like I do have my Yamaha SY77, and I have a MIDI to USB. I'm able to hook up my keyboard to here, and then I'm able to play the instruments that I've made here through the keyboard. But the thing is, though, there is a bit of a delay. I've went through all the settings. There is no way to bring the delay down. There's just too much latency because this program is not set up for that kind of low latency playing. So, as much as I would love to play these instruments on their own, I can't. But they trigger immediately with these, so it's fine. And yeah, that's my thing. Bye.